Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Cougar Culture. Y'all know my voice by now. My name is Dorian Alert. I am your host for Cougar Culture, and I am joined by my good friend. He's in an article now, so go check that out in the tower. Shout out to my good friend and sports editor, Ruben Nieves, for writing the article about us and this podcast. But you all know him. He is a great announcer, and he's doing his thing. What's going on, Jish?
Yeah, and I'm joined by my good friend and number one cat, Chip. So he's also going to be sitting in today. He has some spicy hot takes. We're going to get into it on the pod. You're not going to want to miss it. I'm doing good, Dorian. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. I'm excited to talk. We have a lot to cover this episode, so I'm excited to talk about it.
Unfortunately, a lot of bad news, but also a lot of good news. So, you know, we're going to have a very bittersweet pod today. I don't want to, keep you waiting too long. So let's just jump right into it.
Let's jump right into it with After the Whistle.
So in basketball news, both men's and women's team lost in the first round of the NJAC tournament. Unfortunately, the men dropped that game to Rutgers Newark, who then lost in the next round. It was an 89 to 70 point loss for the men, but there is a little glimmer of positivity that can come from that. Jalen Jamison scored 13 points, which brought him to an even 1,000 points, the 34th player in Kean history to reach that landmark. And with a year left of eligibility, we'll see what he can do.
Yeah, big congratulations to Jalen. And we actually have a clip of the moment when he did from Rutgers Newark. So here's that.
Jamison, one away from 1,000. We're all pulling for Jalen Jamison right here, the senior, with 3:58 remaining here in the NJAC quarterfinals, which has been a tough game overall for the Cougars. Can he do it? And it falls! Jalen Jamison, 1,000 points.
Once again, congratulations, Jalen. You've been awesome. We had a lot of fun calling your games this year between the highlight passes and ankle breakers. So hopefully we'll be able to watch a little bit more next year. Also, for men's basketball, Latrell West was named to the second All-NJAC team. So congratulations to him. He had an amazing season as well.
Yeah, first year in the NJAC, already getting those honors. Still a few more years of eligibility. Can't wait to see what he can do. 21 points for him in that loss, by the way. He led the team. Moving on to women's basketball, this one was a heartbreaker. I was on the call with it alongside Kevin. And, man, it was always right there, but it just came down to the very end, a very fast-paced game. But TCNJ did upset Kean 51-43, an 8-point victory in the opening round of the NJAC tournament.
Yeah, I was in the student section for this one. And actually, the student section was a lot of fun. We had the Cougar come in. Saw the Cougar went over to your table a little bit too.
Hey, me and the Cougar have beef now because as soon as he walked in, that's when the wheels fell off. He was the bad luck charm, and I've been saying that. And me and Kevin were joking about that too. That really I don't want to be superstitious, but I'm still a little stitious about that. In that game, Shannon McCoy dropped 19 points, up to third place all time in Kean's scoring history. Also was the NJAC Player of the Year this year, with her Coach Mandy King winning Coach of the Year in the NJAC, and teammate Brittany Graff making all-second team. So congrats to those three. Very, very great years for all of them.
Congrats to all of them for sure. And we also had Macy Seaman. She won Rookie of the Week for her performance last week against William Patterson. So we had a lot of awards come out this week for basketball. It was really good to see.
Right. But unfortunately, there is no more basketball. We'll keep you posted. I was just about to get there, Dorian. Don't worry. No more NJAC basketball per se just yet. As it stands at this current date, February 25th, the women are still ranked 4th in the regional rankings for the NCAA.
Yep. So we'll see what happens in the coming days. Hopefully something positive. But also continuing with women's basketball, the 6th seed and the 8th seed are actually playing each other in the women's NJAC tournament. So we will crown a champion by tomorrow afternoon. That would be Saturday, February 26th. So I'm looking forward to seeing.
It would be crazy if TCNJ was able to win. I know NJCU has a lot of nationally ranked players. They won it last year as well. But if they do win it, that spells really good for Kean's odds of staying in that area in the regional rankings, because that means, they lost to the champions of their division. That's not too bad, right?
Hey, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward. We'll see what happens. We'll see.
Go TCNJ.
On women's swimming actually came back from Mets this last weekend. The Mets lasted 4 days, and I feel like every time I logged on to Instagram, a new record was broken. So we'll go through some of those records. One of them being the record for the 800 freestyle relay with Amanda Davis, Brianna Shaw, Tegan Powell, and Christina Bilal. They all combined for a new time of 8 minutes and 18.57 seconds. It was a big congrats to them. Moving on to day 2, this is when a lot of records started to fall. Day 2, 3 school records were broken. Head coach Chris Swenson said this team really showed up to race today. So let's start with Brianna Shaw. She set a new school record in the 200 individual medley, posting a time of 2 minutes and 12.88 seconds. And then she came back and broke her own record, because, we got to do better. She broke her own record in the 200 individual medley later that afternoon, posting a time of 2 minutes and 11.69 seconds.
Kean's got some swimmers that can really, really fly. They finished 6th in the Mets. So that's also a lot that they can hang their hat on and keep working and improving. And we've said this every time we've talked about the swimming team. They've improved year after year after year. And it's really, this program has revived in a huge way.
Absolutely. But you know what's crazy? I'm not even done with the records yet.
I'm sorry, yo.
No, that's no problem. Like you said, this team just keeps on improving. I'm not even close to done with the record. The new school, they posted a new school record in the 200 medley relay, which was Amanda Davis, Tegan Powell, Brianna Shaw, and Katie Pileggi. They posted a time of 1 minute 52.10 seconds. And then 6 records were broken on the 3rd day at Mets. Tegan Powell, she brought home 3 individual records. Brianna posted 2 as well. Tegan set a new record in the 100-yard breaststroke, 1 minute 7.6 seconds, before returning and coming back and breaking her own record. I'm sensing a theme. They like to break their own records. Posting a time later that afternoon with 1 minute and 6.53 seconds with a 3rd place finish. And she posted a new school record in the 50-yard breast. She posted a new school record in the 50 breast during the 100-yard breaststroke finals, posting a time of 31.7 seconds. Brianna Shaw also posted a new time in the 400 individual medley during the morning that 3rd day, posting a time of 4 minutes and 39.51 seconds before breaking her record once again, posting a time of 4 minutes and 37.37 seconds. Finally, Tegan Powell and Brianna Shaw teamed up with Amanda Davis and Katie Pileggi for a new time in the 400 medley relay, 4 minutes, 6.9 seconds. And Christina Bilal plays first in the B finals of the 100-yard breaststroke. I got one more set. They broke 3 more records on their final day of Mets. Tegan Powell set new records in the 200-yard breaststroke during the morning and in the evening. Again, breaking her own record because, why not? And Brianna Shaw established a new time in the 200, the butterfly stroke, 2 minutes, 8.44 seconds. and recorded second place in that event. So that's 13 school records that were collapsed this weekend. Big congrats to them. Like you said, Jish, that was huge.
We're done now? We took up half the episode just talking about the records that this team has set. That says something, man.
Literally. It's crazy. Congrats to them once again.
Next year, we're just going to have to, or next week, we're going to have like a full episode just dedicated to every single, or no, next year. They're done swimming. But next year, there's going to be a whole episode just dedicated to every single record that was broken.
Oh, man. I can't wait to talk to them again. Like, they will be on at some point in the future. So. All right. Jish, would you like to talk a little bit of baseball?
For sure, I would, Dorian. Baseball is still undefeated. Very, very impressive start to the season, to say the least. They started off with a W against Old Westerbury. That was a 5-2 matchup that I was on the call for, where we had Brett Hilsheimer hit an inside the park home run. That was very, very exciting to see. That was a win for Colin Kiernan on the mound. They followed that up with a win over Gwynedd Mercy in their also their home opener. We like to play teams in their not home opener, in their opener to the season. We like to play teams in their first games of the season for some reason. In that game, we had Michael Lipchinski have 3 RBIs. Very impressive stuff from the veteran. Following that up, a W over Misericordia. That was their third game, actually. That was a 2-1 victory, a very defensive battle. Came down to some great pitching there from Justin Diefenbach, and Daniel Keenan finished it up with a save in the bottom, or in the 9th inning, his first collegiate save. But yeah, a very impressive showing for really the rookies at the top of the order in all these games. Kyle Adorno and Brett Hilsheimer. I mentioned Hilsheimer earlier, but Kyle Adorno won NJAC Rookie of the Week this week. So starting his career off on the right foot. He's a stolen base machine, let me tell you that, Dorian.
Hey, once again, we have plenty of opportunity to see this Kean team play. They don't go on their road trip until spring break. So, again, you guys can come out and watch.
Spring break's in about a week, so hurry up.
Speaking on a little bit more of men's sports, men's volleyball went 3-1 in this past week. They were able to defeat Nichols College, or I shouldn't say defeat. They swept Nichols College 3-0 in some really close sets. Actually, all of the sets, the margin of victory was about 4 points. So they won the first set 25-22, the second same score, and the third set was actually 25-21. So some really, really close ball games right there. Duncan Belke, once again, we're not going to get tired of saying his name. 18 kills total. Raheem Mullins came in and had 9 as well. Zach Knoll had 30 assists. So this team is really off to a great start. In their second victory, again, another sweep, 3-0 against the Brooklyn College Bulldogs. This one was not as close. Kean beat them in their first set 25-9, second set 25-18, and third set 25-12. Looking at that, DeAndre Williams, we haven't seen much of him this season, but he had 6 kills himself, the freshman. So congratulations to him for having a great game. Kevin Molina also had 6, and Ryan DiCandillo had 6 as well.
Yeah, a lot of hitters on this Kean men's volleyball team. But really, I'm really glad that they've rebounded. They had that one really poor week in early February. But glad to see that they're back on their feet. And also, Raheem Mullins was named NJAC Rookie of the Week again. So he's having himself a very monster season. Him and Quincy Roy are both 2 young names, and Chris Naranjo. Those 3 are all freshmen, and they're all making instant impacts to this team. So the future is very bright. This has kind of been seen as a transition year almost, losing some huge stars in this offseason. but Kean has really retooled nicely, and they're looking to have a respectable season, at least.
Absolutely, absolutely. In other news, esports also played this week. We have a couple of different games that were played. So we're going to start with Smash Bros. Unfortunately, they did fall in and are now 2-2 in Super Smash Bros. In Rainbow Six, they were able to pick up the victory and improve to 2-2 on the season. They did defeat St. Andrews University 2-1. Cornell Fenelus, he was able to pick up a forfeit win actually in the ECAC in NBA 2K22 action. So congratulations to him.
Rage quit.
He improves to 1-3 on the season. So we're looking for a lot more. I hope for a great season. I actually know Cornell, so congratulations to him for picking up his first victory of the season. Kean Valorant is also 1-3 on the season. They picked up a 2-0 win in the ECAC. Congratulations to them. In Rocket League, they were able to receive a forfeit win and improved to 3-1 on the season as well. And finally, in Madden 22, a name that we should be familiar with, Yair, he went 2-0. He picked up the victory, and he is actually sitting at 4-0 in the ECAC. So big congratulations to esports for having a really successful week. Two more quick points of news. Leah DiPiazza was named the 2021 NFHCA Division III National Scholar Athlete. Big congratulations to her. And finally, just a little bit of fun news. It still pertains to Kean. If you watched NBA All-Star Weekend, you saw that Karl Anthony Towns won the NBA three-point competition. Our athletic director, Kelly Williams, he tweeted out, congratulations to Karl Anthony Towns. We appreciate all you do for Kean University athletics. Cougars climb higher together. So congratulations to Kat. You had an amazing three-point competition. I'm not sure Jish is so happy about it, considering he's a Bulls fan.
My congratulations will be louder if he didn't beat his former teammate and my favorite player, Zach. That's all I got to say.
Oh, man. All right, Jish, we did a lot of talking. So I will.
All right, see you next week.
We're not done. No,
man.
We did a lot of talking, but we do have a couple of great interviews set up for you all to listen to. We have a preview of the men's lacrosse season with head coach Shelley Sheiner. So that will be our first segment of Cougar Quick Hits. Our next guest is known by the Kean community as the men's lacrosse coach. He is entering his 19th season as the men's lacrosse head coach. I am pleased to introduce Shelley Sheiner. How are you?
I'm excellent today. How you doing, Dorian?
I'm doing well. So the men's lacrosse season is coming up very quickly. Your season starts March 2nd. Walk me through kind of what it was like, not necessarily having a full season between these last 2 years.
Well, obviously COVID has kind of changed everything. There's, it's like pre-COVID and now during COVID and now post-COVID, or I don't want to say post-COVID, but, like where we're at now. So really, I think I'll talk about my juniors between last year and then the COVID shortened season. They've really only played one full season of games, but last season, we had a kind of magical run at the end. Our guys really bought in. It was limited games. I think we ended the year 10-2. In a normal season, we'd played 16 regular season games and then postseason. But we made it work. We had fun. Despite the restrictions and the things we could do or couldn't do or whatnot. But the team really it came down to the team leadership of my captains, my senior players, my assistant coaches were phenomenal while I was handling a lot of the COVID stuff, the testing and the quarantining, who's practicing, who's not practicing, pods, no pods. They were focused and locked in on let's get these guys better as lacrosse players and get our program moving forward. So last season probably my most memorable season in all my years of coaching lacrosse, even prior to Kean, just because of the hurdles that we had to get through. And it's like walking through a landmine field at times. I can't speak enough, about really just, the players and my assistant coaches, but also the administration, because, they were committed. Kelly Williams, Jay Scaramella, Denise Wujciak, Lakeitha Murray, Dr. Repollet, committed to having a seasons and an experience for not just men's lacrosse, but for all the athletes at Kean.
You alluded to it a little bit. You mentioned that magical run. You not only were in the NCAA tournament, the team was performing amazing throughout. Walk me through what it was like for you as a head coach going through your second NCAA tournament appearance, and kind of what you learned from the first heading into the second.
The first back in 2008, totally different team, totally different era. And then this one, 2021, you almost really can't compare them. It's two separate different runs, two completely different teams. I think, we had some personal tragedy within the team. One of our senior players, Mike Shapiro, lost his father to COVID during the season. That kind of galvanized us a little bit, towards the end. And we just kind of locked in. And I kept saying, and this was no disrespect to the other programs, at Kean, the other spring sports. I just kept saying, to our guys, let's be the last team standing, meaning that, like, let's be the last team playing sports, playing games, this spring, because this spring and this 2020, 2021 academic school year was like no other. So, they just really bought in, and I could sound very cliche, and I try not to be very cliche, the cliche coach. But they really, they did, they bought in, they locked in, they played for, I think, a greater cause, but more importantly, they played for each other. And, we were good, and we took an early loss to Stockton early in the regular season. They beat us, pretty handily. We didn't have and no excuses. They played a great game at Kean. But we didn't have our full group. We were missing some guys, because of COVID, because of other things. And I knew when we finally would get it together, I knew we were going to be pretty good. I knew we would do well. So, and we did, and I couldn't be happier. But now I'm going to sound like the cliche coach. The target's on our backs now, a little bit different, and the guys know that, and we're putting 2021 in a nice, box up on the shelf, and we're really proud of what we accomplished. But back to back sounds a lot better than just doing it once, right? One and done over back. It doesn't sound as good as back to back. So that's kind of the goal now, and what we're looking forward to in the 2022 season.
I hear you, and I'm looking forward to watching the team.
Yep.
Brand new year, brand new team, essentially, because, again, it's been almost 2 years since you had a full, or almost 3 years now since you've had a full season.
Yeah.
What is it like finally being back on kind of a normal schedule?
Well, I wish the weather would cooperate a little bit. Like today, we got to be in a gym. It's like 2 degrees out, it feels. But the guys aren't complaining. I think it's it's great to have a full schedule, a full slate of games. But we do know, and I keep reminding my guys, we're still not out of the pandemic. We still got to, due diligence, and yes, we got to worry about our opponents, not having issues, and us not having issues. But yeah, the schedule's in place. We got a really very, very competitive schedule this year. I kind of upped the competition level for our program, because in order to get deep in the tournament, we have to play, you got to play the best. And, that's kind of my mindset. And if we take some losses, but it benefits us at the end of the season, if we take some early losses, but it benefits us at the end of the season, so be it. But, the end is it's not where you start, it's where you finish. And they say I'm sounding like the cliche coach, right? I'm trying not to be cliche, Dorian. You know, I thought you were going to ask me about like, you know, my favorite pizza places or something, you know, now ask me about like, you know, the cliche stuff. I got to, you know, sound like a coach, but no, it's you know, it's all good, but we're excited. We're excited to play some more games and compete. You know, I mean, you know, the guys just want to get out there and run around and, you know, play lacrosse. That's it.
Mm. Without giving too much away, who are some players that we can look out for this year?
I don't know. Does Montclair and Stockton have feeds into this? We don't want to, you know, too much info, right? You know, but some players to look out for. So obviously we return, you know, All-American on attack, Brady Moore. He kind of, you know, he's the guy on our offense. You know, a lot of things run through him. He's a tremendously talented player, veteran player. And then on the defensive side of the ball, we return All-American goalie Thomas Francie. And, you know, those two guys are going to be kind of like at the forefront, you know, leading our offense and our defense. Our senior captain, short stick defensive midi, Joey McNulty. He was just named preseason All-American, which was nice and a nice surprise. And obviously he's going to help out, not just with the defense, but just on the leadership end, you know, with the program. And, you know, without giving too much away, we're hoping to get a surprise guy back. But we'll see. You know, I don't want to give too much away. I don't want to jinx it. I'm just waiting on some NCAA stuff. But those three, I would say, are going to be kind of at the forefront. You know, defensively, you know, we lost a lot on defense, but we returned some really important guys, obviously with Francie and McNulty and, you know, fellow D-mid Hunter Jenkinson and Stephen Thorne is great. You know, these guys are vets, you know, defensively. And then offensively, you know, Connor Badger was an all-conference player for us on attack. He had a great year. Anthony Porter, another all-conference player for us from the midfield. You know, and then we had some other guys, you know, emerge offensively, like, you know, Dante Magliano, Tommy Pellegrino. You know, I like to kind of think our team is not like, you know, we have a balance of guys. Obviously there's, you know, everyone knows more on attack and more on our offense or Francie in goal. But, you know, we've got a lot of pieces to the puzzle. And sometimes, you know, we're a little bit more dangerous that way because it's very hard to kind of key on us as a team. You can key on more, but then, you know, Badger's going to kill you and Porter is going to kill you if you just key on Brady. And then defensively, if you know, you're just thinking, oh, they just got a goalie. You know, we've had some guys that have, you know, maybe we're behind some great defensemen last year, but you know, guys that have come on really strong. Senior Tyler Brooks has played outstanding this entire year. You know, senior Ben Martin, senior Drew Campanella, they saw considerable minutes when we had some guys out last year. You know, they've been great. And then we've got a great grad transfer in Vinny Campbell from Division II Mercy, who is absolutely going to help us as well. So we've got a lot of pieces to the puzzle. I'm excited, you know, and I'm looking forward to see, you know, what the team shows on March 2nd.
All right, Jish, that was a great interview, and I'm really looking forward to the men's lacrosse season. But now it's time to go beyond the competition with Kevin Herget, who is in the Hall of Fame, in the Benish Athletics Hall of Fame, as a pitcher. Our next guest is a member of the 2021 Benish Athletics Hall of Fame class, and he has spent time in the MLB minor leagues. I'm pleased to introduce Kevin Herget. How are you, Kevin?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Of course. You know, we're going to talk a little bit about your time at Kean and a little bit in the minor leagues, but we will start with your time at Kean. You came to Kean in 2010. What was it like, your kind of first workout or practice as a freshman being on the baseball team?
So I didn't really know what to expect from college baseball. I came from a very small high school where our baseball program was very good, but we were good because we had a bunch of athletes on our team. We weren't really that, like, you know, good from a baseball standpoint, which sounds terrible, but like, we were athletes. It was a small school. We kind of worked with what we had, and like the practices, we showed up, we hit BP, we left. Like it wasn't really anything crazy. So I know that when I went to visit Kean and I watched some of the games and stuff, I knew it was going to be a lot more detail oriented and a lot like longer practices, stuff like that. So from what I remember, our first practice was just a lot. It was just a little bit different. It was a lot more, detailed stuff, things like pitching, fielding practice, or like our running, conditioning, strength and conditioning. There's certain plays for certain things. I knew it was just a lot that I had to take in early on. So I would say that was kind of the biggest thing for like early on, was just realizing that it wasn't just like show up, play. It was almost like a job where you had to show up, you're there for 3 hours, plus you were there for, workouts in the morning, workouts after, and then plus school. So I think going into it was, at first was a little bit of a shock of how much it was, how much work and how much I had to like kind of get in a routine of how to navigate, being a student athlete, how to be, at least succeed in the classroom and on the field at the same time. So
you talked a little bit about, walking in and it was basically a big shock, but was there any added pressure knowing the history of the team and the program, especially with them having come off of a World Series victory just 3 years prior?
Yeah. So for me, for sure, because I honestly didn't even know how long I was going to play baseball, right? My mindset going into college was I wanted to play for 4 more years. I just wanted to play baseball. I enjoyed baseball. So coming off of, like knowing their history, knowing all this kind of stuff, like it was pressure because I didn't know where I stood or what, where I was in relation to all the other guys. It's college baseball. So I never really thought I was myself as a college baseball player in high school. I just thought of myself as someone who liked baseball. So the pressure for me was like, I thought I was a little over my head at first. I thought I was, maybe at a level too high for me, which, I mean, Neil will tell you if you ever talk to Neil about this, the early on in my career, it was all about confidence. That was kind of the thing I lacked, was because I thought I was a little bit over my head and I didn't realize how good I was. So a lot of it was like confidence. So going into that, knowing like they were a good team, yes, Division III for me, that didn't really matter, but they were a good team. They took pride in winning, and all these other guys I thought came from big high schools were probably so much better than I was. So the pressure there was like, I thought at first I was over my head a little bit. And my biggest issue was confidence at first, just because I didn't really realize what level of baseball I was able to play at, So the pressure wasn't really so much about, the team being, a winning team and all that kind of stuff. It was more so about like, I don't know if I could have held my own at first.
You did mention Coach Alvaro very, very briefly. Can you talk about what kind of coach he was and how he did help you build up your confidence?
Yeah, so he is as detail oriented as it comes. Like every minor detail, he makes sure that you are you're following that detail. He wants things done perfectly. Obviously, perfect is not attainable, but like that's his goal. That's his mindset. Like he wants things done perfectly. He wants you to do it over and over again until it becomes second nature. So I lost train of thought. What was the question again?
Kind of how he was as a coach and how he helped you build up your confidence.
Okay. Yeah. So from a confidence standpoint, it was more so him just like kind of telling me and throwing me in situations that I could succeed in. So I know when my first college outing, I gave up like a walk-off, or not a walk-off home run, but a go-ahead home run out of the bullpen. And I'm like, wow, man, like at that point, like, again, like confidence was my issue. I was like, I'm not very good. Like, what am I going to do? And what he did was he threw me in a starting role. He didn't really shy away from me. He threw me right back into the fire, which showed a lot of confidence he had a lot of confidence in me, which then in turn allowed me to have a little more confidence. So that's how he helped me kind of get confidence, was he just kept throwing me in there. He never wavered in his thought of me. He just kept throwing me in there, and then, kind of telling me like, hey, like, you're good. Like, you have the ability to, be very, very successful here. And like always told me that. And at that point, I really didn't understand what level of baseball what level of baseball player I was. And he was trying to push me in that direction. So.
Absolutely. And you spoke on him throwing you into starting role, and you had a really good, or I shouldn't say good, you had a really great record as a starter. You went 7-1 as a freshman, 7-1 as a sophomore, 7-5 as a junior, and your senior year, 10-2. And the one thing that I really noticed is looking at the number, you improved dramatically as a player, and especially as a pitcher. Your ERA went from 4.38, which is a really good ERA, all the way to 1.62, which is amazing. So can you talk a little bit about, what contributed to you improving so much as a baseball player, and also from the confidence perspective?
So I know that, like, when I first came in, I was a 3-sport athlete in high school. So I was all over the place doing a whole bunch of different things. I went to college and I just became a pitcher. Like, to me, right, my life became super boring because I only had one job and I was someone who was always doing something. So when I got to college, and from a sports aspect, like I said, I love baseball, I had to dedicate myself just to pitching. So I obsessed over it in every aspect of it. Like the strength and conditioning side, I started getting the weight room a lot more, the throwing velocity side, the mechanical side. Like I was just I dove in. And then obviously Neil pushed me in that direction because he was a pitcher himself. His program is very pitcher oriented. So I learned a lot from him. And then from there, like I just kind of ran with it. Like I was, like I said, obsessed, like in season, off season, everything I did, like I was trying to be the best I could at pitching. So that's kind of started the ball rolling. Was I only had one job and I was like, concentrate on it. I went from, I didn't sit on my butt and say like, all right, I'm going to pitch in the season, blah, blah. Like I used it as just like I did in high school as like a 3 or 4 season job. So I was always trying to get better. So that kind of started the ball rolling there. And obviously learning a lot about pitching, and that it wasn't just throwing a ball over the plate. There's a lot more to it, which in high school, I could say I was more so, grab ball, throw ball over plate, get it back again, do it again. And Neil kind of pushed me in the direction of how it's a lot more than that, mechanically, all that kind of stuff. So I kind of dove in there. And then each year, I was just someone who just kept working. Even though I had good numbers, like I guess my sophomore year, my freshman year was pretty good. I wanted to get better. So my sophomore year was pretty good. Like I was never content with where I was. So that kind of pushed me to get better each year. And I was never really content, and I always kept working and working. But again, the program itself and the older guys that were around kind of helped that. If I came into a program where the older guys were lazy and sitting around, not really doing much, I don't know if I would have followed that lead. But the guys that were around were some of the hardest working guys in the weight room all the time, working at their craft. And I kind of followed them and wanted to be like them or better than them, whatever it may be. And that kind of helped as well. But that's also just the environment that Neil had created, after the 2007 season or before that, winning environment. To win, you got to work hard. To work hard, you got to spend some time. And I kind of just wanted to follow that, and I wanted to be just as good or better than the guys that were around me as well.
So speaking a little bit about that work led to you having your name all over the Kean baseball record books. Which record would you say means the most to you, if it does?
I think the wins would be. In college, it's a very team-oriented environment. Like you want to win. So I think it's the most wins in that program, which is a very successful program, was probably to me the best record, just because I contributed to those wins, and obviously the guys around me helped me as well. But that's really from a team aspect. Like you want to win games, and regardless of how it was, like there's some wins that are there that are ugly. There are some wins there that were really good, So, but the wins are what matter. Like we went to the World Series how many times just because we were winning games and doing stuff like that. I think that is the one that sticks with me the most.
Can you describe for us a little bit about if you have a favorite moment or like a favorite game during your time at Kean?
So I do remember, I guess maybe it was sophomore year, we played Montclair at Montclair. I think we were down like 9 runs going in the last inning, something crazy like that. And I don't even know if I pitched that day. It wasn't even a game that I was technically involved in. But I know we came back from a 9-run deficit and won in the last inning. And I remember that an overall crazy game. And there's a few funny stories with this, and I'm not going to name his name, but I have a buddy who I went to high school with who played at Montclair as a third baseman, and our third base dugout was right there, and he made a couple errors. And we were just like hounding him because, I mean, college baseball, it's all about, you yell out at the other team, all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of camaraderie and stuff like that. But yeah, we came back from that nine run deficit. I think it was 9, maybe a little less, but either way, it was a big deficit. And I know that I think it was Ken Gregory or something like that hit like a go ahead home run in the 9th or whatever, 7th, whatever it was. And I remember that game sticks out to me because that was something that that shows a lot about the team at that point, and the environment that was created is like you're never down or out. Like, you're always fighting, and Kean was always clawing their way. We took pride in winning those close games, the games that were 2-1, 3-2, whatever it may be. So in a situation where down 9, no one ever really wavered. Everybody was still in the right mindset of we could win this game, which is why probably Kean has been so successful as a baseball program for so long, is because of just that environment that was created.
So this past October, you, along with several others, were inducted into the Benish Athletics Hall of Fame at the university. What did that mean to you, especially the fact that you were inducted with some of your peers, Marissa Robinson and Richie Chief as being a couple of the names that were inducted along with you?
I mean, it was a great honor. I mean, I never really went about my business in a way that I wanted to, be in the Hall of Fame, or like, obviously I did, but like, I didn't really go about my business thinking that like, I'm going to do all this to be in the Hall of Fame. I'm sure those people are the same way. Like they were athletes who, the same as me, tried to get better every year, and did get better every year. And it showed on the field, and it showed, how they were of people outside of the field too. Right. I mean, everybody, all the coaches and stuff who've talked about those athletes all had great things to say, because they weren't only good athletes on the field and they worked hard, but like they were someone that you'd want on your side for any situation. So something like that, I think, is why it's such a cool honor to be inducted into that, because you hear what the stories of these guys and how they got to where they were, and it's just kind of resonates that like, you worked hard to get there, and and you were a good person on and off the field to get there. But the other thing that was really cool was the 07 team. That was always the selling point of going to Kean, was you wanted to win a World Series just like the 07 team. And those guys are what kind of created that, got that ball rolling for the time I was there, that we wanted to win and get back there, so that was a kind of a cool thing too, that they were there as well while I was there, because they were, even though I didn't really meet a lot of them, like, before that, or there's someone more around, but they were like role models going into that season. They were always the ones that we were trying to strive to be better than, right? And because they got to the highest standard of Division III baseball. So
transitioning out of your career at Kean, in 2013, you were drafted by the St. Louis Cardinals. Can you describe a little bit of what that process was like, going through and getting drafted?
Yeah, so that was a cool experience that I was just completely lost on, because I had no idea. I didn't really have anybody around me who has been drafted before. I didn't really even think I was going to get drafted, because I mean, Division III, again, like I said, like my mindset always in baseball was I wanted to play for 4 more years. I never really expected to be anywhere else. Like I knew there was a chance, but I never really expected it. And I mean, it was a cool experience. I didn't really expect to get drafted. And I actually went out and got like a coaching job the day of the draft, because I thought my summer was going to be, coaching, making money, moving on with my life. But I mean, it was cool. I mean, obviously I was watching, I was trying to keep my mind off it, because again, I wasn't really expecting it. And, it came down to, the 30 something round, and I was, like, all right, this isn't happening. It's fine. Like, I prepared for this. And then they called in the 39th, and I was super excited. I really didn't know like the process. They called, they said, congrats. I was at my parents' house, and, they said, hey, you're going to sign this. We're going to reach out to you in a little bit. Like it was just a surreal experience. Like I didn't really know. It was kind of like shell shock. I didn't know like I didn't really expect it. So it was a cool experience, but I was also starting to get my mind in the mindset of like, now what, how do I keep going from this? Like, again, my mindset is I want to play baseball for as long as I can. How do I continue to do that?
Since that time, you spent time with several organizations. Can you talk a little bit about what life is like as a minor league player during spring training, and then kind of your day-to-day during the season, and then what the off season looks like?
Okay, so spring training start, you go down there, the first spring training was a lot, just like, my first day at Kean. I didn't really know what to expect. It's a lot of like technical stuff, like meetings and stuff at first. You get uniforms, you go out to the field, and it's the same thing. It's like it's practice in the morning, usually games in the afternoon. So it's a long day. You get there at 6, 7 in the morning. You do some, warm up stuff, strength and conditioning stuff, go out there and you do, the team warm up, pitchers fielding practice, whatever it may be, any sort of practice stuff. BP, you go in for lunch, you go back out, and then you usually play a game. So those are long days, especially in Florida, even though it's, February, March, it's still pretty warm there. You're on your feet all day, and then you go, you sleep, and you do it again. So cool experience for sure, especially being around guys who have, like early on, being around guys who have been around for a while. Some guys who have been in the big league, some guys who haven't. It's just a cool experience, and it's just cool to see like the level of baseball there. And then you transition to in season, which is a little bit different because you're used to waking up at 6 in the morning, and then games are at 7 at night now. So you get to the field around probably 2:00. Same thing, strength and conditioning stuff. Maybe you work out if you have to work out. Go out to the field, stretch as a team, play catch, BP, go in, eat, and then usually the game is in the afternoon. So that's kind of the spring training and in-season schedule. And then off-season, you're kind of on your own. So it's like I usually work in the off-season, whether it's giving lessons or I've done a bunch of odd jobs here and there. But and you find time to work out, throw, and do all the same things again. So as a full season goes, it's a lot. It's a lot of different environments. You're in different places. I've played everywhere from State College, PA, to Florida, to Peoria, Illinois, to Springfield, Missouri, Memphis, Columbus, and you play all over the place around there. So it's just it's kind of the minor league lifestyle is kind of a little bit crazy with the travel and stuff too. So yeah, any other follow up with that? I mean, because it's a lot. So.
Well, no, it just leads into my final question, and this pertains to the current lockout. How has that affected getting potential calls from teams, because you are currently released? But yeah, how has that affected any potential calls and the potential season that may or may not happen?
So this is I don't really know how it affects me. That's the crazy thing about this is, I'm not on the 40 man, never been on the 40 man. So the Players Association doesn't really affect me in a sense. So there is going to be a minor league season. I think where it affects me the most is that teams don't know how many people to sign going into the season. So it could be that they resolve things and then all their 40 man guys and all the guys who are on their rosters will trickle down to like AAA and stuff, and they'll fill the rosters. But it could be that they're locked out and they need guys to fill spots until the lockout is over. So I think so. I'll have a lot of buddies around the league who are free agents as well, and they haven't gotten signed yet either because I think the market is just a little bit slower than normal. But I don't know. I really don't know how it affects me though. Like again, I am a little bit older in the baseball world, so I don't know if that's something like teams are just not really interested in. But I think right now it's just the uncertainty is kind of just making the market a little bit slow. So it is a weird situation, and I hope it's resolved soon because I think fans need baseball, especially after last year or the year before 2020. That was a rough one, but yeah, I really don't know how it affects me. I'm hoping that they resolve it and then they just still need guys and they sign, they give me a call, but I'm just one of those, it's the same thing. I'm just trying to play for as long as I can and see what happens. Not really trying to expect anything. So I'm most likely going to go play in an independent ball league if in the worst case scenario, not the worst case scenario, but just to kind of be playing for the summer and then kind of make my decision after that if I'm not with an affiliated team. But yeah, I'm not really sure how it affects me. So
those were two great interviews, Jish, but now, unfortunately, we're getting to the end of the episode, and this is where we preview the week ahead.
Tonight, Kean is going to play Regis College in Harwood Arena, coming back home for the first time since February 12th in that tri-match versus SUNY Potsdam and Juniata. They will be playing Regis, and then they will go on the road to Mahwah to take on Ramapo on Tuesday the 1st, and then go to Newark to play their first CVC matchup. That's also an NJAC contest with Rutgers Newark. So some exciting and heavy matchups coming up for the men's volleyball squad. Hopefully they can string together some wins as we get into the most important part of their season. And as for baseball, tomorrow, February 26th at 11:30 a.m., they are playing Haverford College at the Jim Hines Field. They will follow that up the next day facing SUNY Brockport. And then on Tuesday, they will stay home for their final home game before the Cal Ripken Experience in South Carolina. They'll be taking on FDU Florham.
Awesome. Coming up in softball will be kicking off their season on the road. They will be playing in the Grand Slam Triangle Classic. If you heard last week's interview, you heard me talk about that with a little bit with Coach Acker. They will be playing against Oberlin College, North Carolina Wesleyan College, Methodist University, and Randolph-Macon College. All of that will be in Apex, North Carolina for their first road trip of the season, and hopefully they can come away with a couple of victories. A couple other sports will be kicking off this year, a couple of sports that we will also be kicking off this semester. Men's lacrosse will be starting their season on the road at FDU Florham. They on March 2nd, that will be their first matchup of the year. And women's lacrosse is also kicking off their season. They will actually be at home in Union, New Jersey, playing Stevens on March 2nd at 4 p.m. So we got a couple good matchups, and I'm looking forward to this transition period that we're in from winter sports to being back outside and calling some of these spring sports.
Man, on days like today, I'm not looking forward to going back outside, Dorian. But
good point.
It's spring's right around the corner, hopefully.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah. Fingers crossed.
Can't see it on the pod, but my fingers are crossed.
Jish, I had an awesome episode with you, man, and I'm looking forward to our next couple of episodes and being able to talk about spring sports, like you said.
Yeah, absolutely. Till next time.
All right. We'll see you all next time.